The next thing we got here
something like that.
Next thing we got is
Domesticated wolf.
this is an article. It's called "Jumping Off Rocks: Why
Yeah.
Kids Need Outdoor Play to Thrive."
I'm afraid right now for these kids, man, because they ain't outside, boy. I don't see them outside. I don't see them out there at all.
Yeah, they're not. They're in their heads. They're on the screens. They're playing video games.
Can you imagine the sales of like baseball bats have gone down so dramatically in the last 20 years? The sales of like all these sports items and like certain things that's like for physical play. I imagine like they had to like turn that down a little bit.
I'd like to see the numbers on that.
I'm very curious
to
that.
Because I think baseball
It has to have
for kids,
to be an
it's
impact.
still rolling. There's way more kids. There's way more people. Parents are. I mean, you're probably right.
I don't see it.
I mean, when I go to Dick's Sports and I look, there's a huge section. Before there wasn't, that big a section when we were kids.
I predict that in the next 5 years, 10 years, that there's not going to be no more Dick's.
Sporting goods?
Yep. It's going to be just like Toys R Us.
Really?
You're going to have to buy toys on Amazon, homeboy. You're going to have to buy it like that. You're going to have to buy all that sports stuff. You're not going to be able to go physically to buy a lot of it. There's going to be smaller places that sell the stuff that you have to physically try on.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm watching. You see. That's what happens with this type of stuff that's happening now, like with Amazon and stuff. That's the effect of it.
I know. It's sad in a way. The experience of going with your kid to buy a baseball bat or something.
Or a toy store, though. Letting your kid pick a toy in the toy.
Totally.
Toys R Us. You remember going in there when we were kids?
It was the best.
Bruh. So for you kids that don't know, Toys R Us was just like a warehouse full of toys.
Yeah.
The aisles were stupid long, and they had every toy that was out in the store right now. And like y'all will never experience that, and that's sad to me, and I'm sorry for that, man. Because I don't know if it's our generation or like one up from us. They care so much about convenience.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, that's lazy, bro. There's a fine line between convenience and lazy. And I think the line is quite blurred at this point.
Oh yeah.
And people that's not even at this point knowing that there's a line there. Mm-hmm. And like that's why I say that about Dick's. And like if you like, there's gonna be other things if we think about them that are gonna be in line with that as well. I'm surprised it has lasted as long as it has.
Wow.
What was the other one? Big Fives are closing everywhere.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But there was another one that's gone. I forgot what it was called.
Sportsman's Warehouse, that's changing. They got new like Bass Pro Shops is taking over and Cabela's and stuff like that.
Cabela's is Bass Pro Shops. Bass Pro Shops owns Cabela's, and it also owns Offshore Angler. At one time, these were three separate companies.
Yeah.
Bass Pro Shops ate them all because they had the model similar to Amazon.
Yeah.
You could go on and buy your stuff.
Yeah.
But they have stores, but the stores is few and far between. Like I've never been in one.
Are
I've
you
been
serious?
fishing my whole life.
Oh, there's one right over here, and if I bring you in, Bella loves to go to this store because it's
everything.
They have everything, and not just everything, but there's cool things. Like as you're walking through, you look at the ground, and in the cement, there's footprints of a turkey or a deer. And they got this huge aquarium that has all these fish in there and any kind of like different animals, Boone and Crockett bucks
I like
and stuff.
Shields.
Similar to Shields, except even
bigger.
Better. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Really cool experience bringing kids there. Like they enjoy it.
Well, jumping off rocks.
Yeah, so why kids need outdoor play to thrive. So this is an article. I guess I'll dig in and read it and then let you do the commenting if you like. So jumping off rocks, climbing trees, hanging upside down, spinning so fast it could make an adult dizzy. Meet Angela. an occupational therapist who has come to the conclusion that children need adventurous activities to develop a healthy sense of body and mind. Not only do children need way more movement than our sedentary society allows them, she suggests, but they need precisely the kinds of movements that make adults gasp if they are going to thrive. Often brought into classrooms to solve behavioral issues, she realized that children today do not get enough free play, exploration, and exercise to allow them to focus properly in school. She began using movement as therapy, helping kids heal through spinning too fast on the merry-go-round and flying too high on the swings. She's a mother of 3. She founded a book, or it's called Timber Nook, and it's a nonprofit. Began as an experimental therapy program in her own backyard before expanding to 3 sites in Maine, right? So essentially, she's saying that it can be dangerous if children are too sedentary. Current research is that kids sit in chairs for about 9 hours a day, being driven to school, driven home from school, sitting for hours, and then they go home and they have homework. They might have some sports, but a lot of times they're still in an upright position. What really needs to happen is kids need to spin in circles. They need to go upside down because inside their inner ear are these little hair cells. And when we move in rapid ways, the fluid in the ears moves back and forth, stimulating those hair cells and developing what we call vestibular sense. If that's undeveloped because kids are not moving enough, then what happens is it can affect what we call sensory integration, which is basically organization of the brain so they can learn. Whoa, that's big. Go ahead.
Why is it important for kids to climb trees and jump off rocks? It helps you know where your body is in space so you can stay in your seat without falling out.
Yeah.
That's actually an issue. Kids are literally falling out of their chairs in school now.
Wow. It's
I've
crazy,
I've
man.
not heard about this. The way we treat that as occupational therapists is that we have kids spin in circles, and that helps them to gain more body awareness so they can navigate their environments effectively. Sometimes I'll see a kid spinning in circles and I'll hear an adult say, "Don't spin, you're going to get dizzy," or "Get off that rock, you're going to get hurt." But if we as adults keep them from moving in those ways, we have actually become the barrier to the neurological development that needs to happen so that they can become safe in their environment.
Damn. Yeah, I didn't know that this was a thing. I know that every kid starts spinning in circles and going, "Oh, I get dizzy." And I remember when my kid was doing that, it was like,
I
go
don't
ahead.
care if my kid does it. I just don't want him to fall and hit his head on something.
I know. That's literally the thing that every adult worries about, right?
Some may call your style of outdoor therapy radical and progressive. Others might see it as common sense. How do you describe it? I think of it more like a restoration. I don't think this is a progressive idea. As an occupational therapist, for me, the true occupation of a child is play. An outdoor play is a really meaningful one for most of us. Most of us have fond memories of it, but it's also really at risk. That's why it's so therapeutic. That's why a lot of therapists will train in this because they see how healing it is. It's giving children what you had, what they were always meant to have.
Yeah, so it's that much of an important thing to do to set your brain up so that when you're not doing it, you understand that you're not doing it.
I gotta do some more research on this about these kids that they're saying are falling out of chairs.
I know, I've heard this too, man.
Is this real?
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine if a kid never really played and they just sat there in front of a screen and they lived their life like that from a kid, that they won't have the balance?
I don't know, dude.
I mean,
when they're sitting in front of their screen, they got balance. When they're sitting on their butt, I don't know, bro.
I mean, not as much balance as a kid that's jumping from rock to rock or doing monkey bars like you used to do. I used to see you doing that, you know, like jumping up and down, all this stuff, all this movement. I don't know.
There might be something to it, man. Definitely gonna have to read into this.
So it's actually a very traditional approach as opposed to something radical. Yes, we're just trying to protect a tradition. We're saying you can't touch this. For instance, when we go into schools, teachers aren't allowed to go into playtime and do teachable moments. We save that for later. This is their time where they have to figure things out. The children need that time. Says, have you sort of recreated your own childhood? She said, growing up in Vermont, it was a bunch of kids. We'd have like 5 or 6 of us. But at Timbernook, it was like 25 children out in the woods creating societies with natural materials. It's a dream come true for kids. It's outdoor play for hours. It challenges them to think creatively.
For somebody so dope, her grammar's a little off.
Yeah.
Noticing a couple of things. It's like, it was a bunch of kids. Like, who is this lady?
Yeah, so, some of this article's a little whack. It says, when did you start collaborating with schools? We started going to schools with Timbernook in 2017. That was fascinating process. We're in 10 schools now, but one in particular, it's a Christian academy, is doing it right. They started it 5 years ago, and they did it once a week for 2 hours. Timbernook time at school, and immediately saw benefits. So they increased it to 4 hours of woodland time.
Laconia.
Yeah. Did increasing playtime have an impact on academic performance? During the pandemic, they saw no change in academics. If anything, they saw an increase. The headmaster said we're seeing joy, we're seeing kids more resilient, stronger, and able to figure out their own problems. Mm-hmm. So that's been really interesting. We're researching that now with the University of New Hampshire on how it's changing the culture of schools. That study is just starting, but it's really going to be fascinating because I think it's time to rethink what we're doing in schools. So that's something that's a big topic nowadays, is what's happening in schools and what kids are doing. I gotta say, I got a kid that's now first year in high school. She's a freshman. She worked so hard. I mean, literally up early in the morning to be at school. She's at school for 8 hours, does work all the time at school. She goes to sports, then she comes home, it's homework, and then it's time to bed, basically. It's like there is no time for anything else in reality. She has such a stringent schedule with homework, schoolwork, all this stuff.
How necessary is all this?
I don't know, man.
You know?
This is a crazy thing, is the stuff that she spends so much time on for her advanced like writing class. I don't know. I could have ChatGPT create that article in literally 2 minutes.
Like, say of all the things that we studied in school, man, like how many of them are applicable right now?
To be honest, I don't know that I use that much of what I learned in
and it's like
grade school. It was about getting to know other people, being able to learn, like the process of learning and studying. I think that was a thing. But I also see that the whole, you got to learn to take a test.
Then teach me the process and let me learn what I want to learn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be like selective about what you want to show us. So we're going to have to go out and re-educate ourselves anyway.
That's what's happening.
That's what's happening. That's what happened to me. I had to go out into the world and figure out what real history was, what certain stuff was real and what was not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even like social studies, it's like you can learn some good stuff from social studies. about culture and about observing it and things like this. But you also have to be careful with social studies too. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know, man. I feel like the way that they have everything set up in the curriculum is not. I don't feel like it's in the best interest for the kids by way of functionality, by way of actual production, by way of
what they're going to be able to do after they get done with school. Yeah. So it's also children are going through adolescence, right? So each year they get older, they're developing different pieces of their brain, their body, and different skills. Social skills is definitely one of them, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important that they go through these different stages amongst their peers like we did.
Yeah.
I think that's really important because, that social aspect of what happens later on in life, you get to learn those things earlier, hopefully. I know that there's a lot of people that they're starting now as a huge uprise in independent learning or homeschooling, right? And there's homeschool groups that do this.
I like that, but what I don't like about it is like it's more limited in terms of your exposure, your social exposure. It's like then, okay, yeah, your parent puts you in a jiu-jitsu class. All right, you're in there for an hour and a half. Or you're wherever you are. Like, nah, like being around your peers for like hours and hours on end, like kind of shows you like, oh, damn, if I do that, people are going to think I'm acting stupid. I shouldn't do that. Or I shouldn't do that because I'm making somebody feel this way. Or that person just did that and she felt that way, so I shouldn't do that at all.
Yeah, they get to learn those lessons by being around all the other
Yeah, learning objective
peeps.
lessons by just being there,
So what about as far as those are lessons that are learned, but isn't school, aren't they just trying to, it's paid for by the government, right? Aren't they just trying to train the kids to go in and work one of those type of jobs? Like that's the goal?
I think the goal is probably, for the most part, like
participate in society.
But what I'm saying is like they're teaching mediocrity, bro.
That's what I'm seeing.
They're teaching regular, and like it's fine. There a whole bunch of people are regular and mediocre, but there's a whole lot of other ones that have a lot greater potential than that don't have the right stuff fed to them to help that to blossom. So,
yeah, how do you get that nowadays? That's through parents being more involved and bringing them down the road.
If they're fortunate enough to have that,
yeah,
if they're and that's why a lot of people don't. That's why there's only so many people that are those billionaires, right? That's why there's only so many people that have this certain success. It's because a lot of times they don't have the parents to do it. And there's many things that you have to go out in the world and figure out on your own. And your success is limited to you and what your drive is.
Yeah. But there's a lot having to do with the people that are around you, a big part community that you're involved in.
That's you, though, still. Like, look, meaning
well,
you choose who you surround yourself with, right? So if you choose to surround yourself with people that are not like minds, then it's not going to be beneficial to you.
Yeah, but when you're young, you're trying to figure out who you are. That's a part of adolescence.
Yeah, but what makes you hang out with the kids you hang out with? You think that they're like you. You're a like mind with them. There's some things in common that you have with them. I don't think that's
it. I think mostly it's because it's someone that has traits that you want to be like. You end up becoming friends with people that you admire, not necessarily a like mind. It's you admire who they are and the traits that they have. So someone that is very strong and powerful and you're kind of weak, you'll want to be friends with somebody strong and powerful so that you could feel stronger yourself.
Then what makes you not hang out with somebody?
I think, mean people.
Yeah, but like when school, you have people that you're around all the time.
Yeah.
What makes you not hang out with those kids? You understand? Or what makes you not hang out with that guy? There's something that is not relatable to you.
Yeah, you're not potentially not being accepted.
That's another thing. But I'm talking about when it's up to you.
Yeah.
You gotta observe that a lot of times it's like
If they have
we
traits,
joke. There's a way that traits are traits, but like there's a commonality that comes between people in conversation that keeps people together, right? Traits are traits, right? But in terms of like interaction,
yeah.
if you're a person that I'm talking to, and every time I say something that you reply with something that's outlandish,
Yeah.
then you and I are not of like mind.
That's true.
And that's something that will make me not want to hang around you as much or at all.
Yeah. But I think as you get older, you learn that people's differences are also a blessing.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have an open mind, then you can see, oh, this person that I kept on looking at was outlandish.
Mm-hmm.
Once I started understanding them,
That's right.
now I can appreciate where they come from and why the stuff that they were saying before that I used to think was so outlandish. Oh, for them, now I get it.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I think that, especially in today's world with the kids, man, these kids are under a lot of pressure. Their school is tough now. Like, as far as all the work that you got to do, it's tough.
They have a lot more work.
So much more work. I mean,
I don't know why.
Well, I mean, my kid in 8th grade was doing work that I literally finished high school doing.
That's crazy.
You know, and it's like, do I think she's that much smarter than I was when I was in? Nah, man, I think I was probably about the same intellect.
But she's being taught better.
Yes. Yeah. And some of that is because of how I've been an influence on her. And the other thing is how things in school have evolved and luckily she, is in a great schools.
I feel like it just was the time and just what people thought was right. But like when we were in school, like there was only one way to do math. And that was it. And anything outside of that was nonsense and that was not theory and that wasn't it. And now my kid is doing math 3 different ways, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's different formulas to figure out the same problem now.
Oh,
like there's different ways of doing it that's to us that is all
non-traditional.
That's all you know and I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not all that's there anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They figured out different things.
I feel like somewhat cheated in that regard. Like, damn, but that was that time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but right on, man. Anybody, man. Look, we want to thank you guys for sitting with us while we go through these things and we sitting here because part of this is for us.
Yeah.
A big part of this is for us. Sitting here trying to figure out life together, man. And we appreciate you guys sitting here with us, tuning in to do that with us as well. Greatly.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good episode. I didn't know how it would go when we stepped in. This time we had, less being like totally with what we were going to talk about. Like we didn't spend that much time on it that we were like, we got this. And we just kind of let it flow. And
Yeah.
I kind of like doing that a little bit more.
That's my thing, baby.
Yeah,
That's what I like better.
Yeah. So thanks again for watching. Enjoyed having you guys being able to be a part of this and let us know what you think.
Oh, yeah. And again, if there's anything that you would like to hear us discuss, if there's anything that you would like us to visit or anything that you have that is an input for the Gambler and the Guardian, it's all welcome. Please leave it in the comments. And thank you again. Yeah.
All right, peace out. Trout. Is that like the old thing? Like I'm a boomer now?
I've never heard it. No, you're on your own.